welcome to Stargirl. Today is June 6th, 2022, and I'm recording in the evening today, so it's not too hot. The sun's already down. It's 71 degrees in Brooklyn, New York. How's it going? Start of a new week. I'm feeling pretty calm this evening, but I'm excited about this episode. I found that I had a lot to say really easily, and this week I'm going to talk about Jia Tolentino, the New Yorker staff writer who really was in her heyday from maybe like 2018 to 2019. It was cool to prepare for this and to transport myself back just a couple years and realize how much of my analysis of her and of that moment was like stored and cataloged and ready to go, and then also just how much has changed both in the kind of climate surrounding the writing that she does and just I guess in myself as well. But yeah, anyways, excited to unpack. As with last week, I do have some Stargirl news. I had a host of Addison updates that I wanted to give again, and then I was like, okay, I can't just be doing Addison updates every single week. But luckily, this has been a big week for Stargirls worldwide, so there's several things to touch on. One, Audrey Gelman turned 35. She had her 35th birthday party. Yeah, it was nice to see. As I mentioned in the episode I did on her, she's not that active on social media anymore. She hasn't posted on her grid in like years, but she even really posts on her story a little bit more of late because she's promoting her store. But yeah, it was nice to see just like her, I don't know, just normal social media content from her posting live from her birthday party. And oh yeah, Audrey had she had her hair out. It's curly. It was very relatively recently that I even learned that Audrey Gelman had curly hair because she always wore it straight. So anyways, if you remember, I was talking about the high artifice time of 2016 to 2019 at the height of the wing, and obviously Audrey has relaxed along with the times, embracing that pendulum swing and letting her hair out. Oh, Emily Weiss is stepping down as the CEO of Glossier, and she's going to become the chairwoman. And Sheryl Sandberg is leaving Facebook. And I did not even know that she was like engaged again, apparently for like years. But yeah, she's getting married in the fall. So that was nice to see. That was like so tragic when her husband died. That I can't even remember how long ago that was, but it was really, yeah, that was awful. So I'm happy that she has found love again. She can leave the workforce and just, well, who knows what she'll do. I guess she has a foundation or something, but she's moving on, which that's good for her. Of course, I do have some Addison updates. I mentioned last episode how like fun and just like back to normal and happy all of her content had seemed, and it's just continued. And particularly I wanted to note, I was talking about on the episode that I did with her how she does kind of like that she was kind of reminding me of Sophia Loren, and that was pretty random. I mean, I could have picked like Sophia Loren was like one of many kind of like classic sex symbols that I could have picked that had just come to mind in that moment of a comparison to make. But Addison posted this little photo shoot last week now, I guess, May 29th, where she's in this like high-waisted black and white checked bikini, and like on the rocks and then like in the ocean, and she actually, it really, really reminds you of Sophia Loren now. She's just like, I don't know, something about just like this cut of suit on her, and especially the first picture in the swipe through where she's just like on the rocks and looking up at you. And then if that wasn't enough, just a couple days ago she posted this swipe through of her on a horse, and I cannot stop thinking about it. I can't even tell you how many times I like re-navigated back to this carousel to look through it. yeah, I don't even know where she is, but she's on some kind of like deserted ranch, and then like in the forest down to a river, and in these kind of like foothills, and yeah, it's kind of like, low, still, slightly muddy water, and all these kind of like overgrown trees behind her, and she just looks so majestic and like and happy. Yeah, it was really like, wow, this is where you belong. Like, yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, so yeah, just good to continue to see her on the up and up. And who knows, the boyfriend Omer hasn't been in any of the pictures that she's posted. But I don't think that they're broken up. I'm not sure. I don't care to comment. I follow this account called like addisonray.omer updates or something, and they've still been posting some like Addie liked Omer's post or like whatever. So I don't know, whatever. We'll see how it all shakes out. But I do feel bad because I think I was a little like overly reductive in that episode of trying to pin whenever I was feeling about her on him, which I like I don't even know enough about like him or what vibe he's trying to portray to have kind of like snappy or close analysis around him and their relationship. I was just like, seems weird. Ciao. But anyways, but this is actually the perfect time to introduce you guys to my theory of ripe and dead, because this is just a better lens through which to like view that offness about Addison's posting for a while that I was trying to explain. So essentially, this framework that I've developed, that there are two types of girls, ripe and dead, and both are equally sexy, or at least have the potential to be equally sexy. But the key is just people really need to be in tune with which pole they have like a natural propensity toward, and then just like run with it and play to their strengths. So like obviously Addison is ripe, right? Like I think the best way to like even get a sense of what I'm trying to talk about is if I just like give a bunch of examples. So I'm just gonna open my Instagram and scroll, and the celebrities that come up I will place in a category, and it's really immediate, so you'll see what I'm talking about in short order. So Addison is ripe, Kim Kardashian is ripe, Zoe Kravitz is dead, Kendall Jenner is dead, Sydney Sweeney is ripe, Olivia Rodrigo is dead, Bella Hadid is dead, Cardi B is ripe, Dasha is dead, Scarlett Johansson's ripe, Martha Stewart is ripe. Okay, are you guys getting the distinction? It's not as clear cut as it's like, I think at first blush it can kind of seem like light versus dark, or even kind of like curvy versus thin. And I think oftentimes those things shake out that way, but it's not always like, I don't know, it's not that literal, really. It's just like the effect that they give. So this is kind of random, but like one way that I think about it is like, if you take the two rose emojis, the one that is like in full bloom and is like up straight and kind of like protruding in a sense, right? It's very kind of like forward, up and out energy. And then the rose that's like wilting and dying, and that's much more just kind of like, sultry and inward and like back and down, I kind of think. So if you just think like blooming or retreating a little bit is one way to think about it. As soon as this came into my head, it is a little bit dangerous because it can get very addictive, and you just suddenly want to like categorize all of your friends and blah 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 blah. But thankfully I do have very patient and trusting friends who are along for the ride. But anyways, okay, the reason that I bring this ripe dead binary up is because ripeness and deadness have the potential to be very sexy, very evocative, not gross seeming. But it's when you see someone who is naturally one of them trying to do like toward the other pole that it just can be like off-putting, creepy. It feels just very, very wrong instinctually. And I think that this is like what I was kind of feeling about Addison's content and her vibe a while ago, where I was just like, this doesn't even like seem like you, and like this is weird. You are very like light, bright, ripe, and to be kind of like dark and kind of like, yeah, it just feels very put on for a naturally ripe person to appear dead, you know, and this is like the same thing that's going on with like Julia Fox right now, right? Like someone who is naturally ripe and now they're trying to portray themselves as dead, and it's just like it does not work. It always just is extremely off. It's not something you want to get closer toward. And conversely, right, like if you saw like Keira Knightley dressed up as a Playboy bunny for Halloween, like that, it would just be extremely wrong, you know. It's just like yeah, it's very abject. Sorry, that was that was like the randomest situation I could have pulled out of my ass, but I think you get the picture. All right, okay, now that dead and ripe have been established, I think we can carry that with us as through our analysis. What other Stargirl news did I have on the docket? Oh, I actually don't really have anything to say about this. The Emrata went on Z-Way's show. So that was just like, that happened right after I did the last episode. So I didn't even watch it. I just saw some like clips on TikTok, but I don't know. It seemed a little bit awkward. I feel like the Z-Way's bit is getting a little bit like one note. So I don't know. I think they gotta, it doesn't seem like they're getting much like traction or like shock factor out of it. And I don't know. Anyways, I mean, I shouldn't even be talking about this because I didn't even watch it, but it happened. If someone wants to go look it up and let me know what's going on with it. Oh, and then the last thing so I saw Pamela Anderson in Chicago, the musical, this past weekend, which was great. She was playing Roxy Hart for like this limited run of it. So I don't know, just cool to see her on stage. She has such a great presence, and just like she's so cheeky. I mean, obviously she's playing Roxy Hart, but so like playful and flirty and annoying, and yeah, it was a great role for her, and she looks amazing. So yeah, anyways, that's my Stargirl news for the week. Oh, the other thing is that I kind of wanted to revisit the like working definition of Stargirl that I presented at the outset of this project. One, because I've done some thinking about it, and then also a lot of people have like asked me to kind of get closer to it. And so I've developed some more criteria that I want to share. These are in like no particular order, but a Stargirl is someone who disrupts the peace in some way. So we've already established that it's someone who like stands out, that is peerless, but I think a step beyond that is it's not just like the best of a type, but it's actually someone who is disruptive, whether intentionally or not. And I think along with that, a Stargirl is brave, actually, like whether or not she is right in her project or what she's putting forth, and whether or not she succeeds at it, you have a feeling about her that she is brave, you know, even if it's just like, wow, cringe, foot in mouth, like, whoa. It's like there's an ability to handle not only criticism, but like outside perceptions of failure, and they kind of just keep going. You know, there's this kind of like immunity to, yeah, like they don't like stop or buckle, I guess, in some way, you know. So that's one thing. I think a Stargirl has like a latent sense of self-importance. So this is a reason that they are often kind of unlikable, or at least kind of challenging characters. I think a Stargirl is someone that you might have the feeling of like, who gave you the right to do this? You know, you might feel kind of like they didn't earn their spot, and why do they have this like self-importance that has or that their self-importance is like the only thing that got them a spot, right? So this kind of like a sense of kind of like entitlement and unearned confidence or something is something you might feel about them. But I think like a Stargirl is also often more than the sum of her parts. So, right, she's someone that, you know, people will try to kind of break her down and kind of be like, she's not even that pretty, she's not even that smart, her stuff actually isn't that good, you know, but then it's like, it doesn't end up mattering because she has this like larger effect that is granting her this audience and this attention that I think, you know, people will really spin their wheels trying to get to the bottom of. And it's kind of, it's a lost cause because, yeah, they've got something special. And, you know, one thing that has come up multiple times is people have asked me, like, what's the difference between a Stargirl and an It Girl? This was like a semantic issue that I hadn't given any thought to, but I did now. I think that in general, an It Girl is more likable. than a Stargirl. So kind of less offensive, right? In the spirit of a Stargirl being someone that you might feel like, oh, they didn't earn their spot. In It Girl is more like, oh, they earned their spot, so still that kind of standoutness, that peerlessness, but for some reason is not also inspiring this sort of contempt. And I do think that some people I think that some people can be both. Like, I think Jia, who I'm going to talk about today, is totally both. But like Addison is a Stargirl, not also an It Girl. I feel like one way of thinking about it is like an It Girl is a Stargirl without all of the hassle. Like an It Girl is much more careful, and there's not a lot of like PR or controversy that like naturally kind of finds her. So anyways, I don't know. And yeah, this might all change, but these were the thoughts that I was having about it. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about Jia Tolentino, who is a staff writer for The New Yorker, and she was kind of like the darling of the media world, at least at that level, right? New Yorker staff writer, or like I would say the height of her career was like 2017 to 2019. She still is working. We'll talk about all of this, but what I'm going to try to like zero in on is her persona and the feelings about her in the culture from this period of time. So Gio was doing like just kind of pop culture criticism with, like mixes of reporting and personal essay. She wrote a lot about like music and kind of like poppy literature of the time, and a lot about the internet. She wasn't like a super controversial writer. Like she's not like a provocateur by trade, but nonetheless, I think she just generated a lot of conversation, and people had a lot of strong feelings about her and the way that she presented herself. And yeah, she's another person who is very important to me, very formative person in my decision to like want to be a writer and to want to write cultural essays. And like I said, she was kind of at the height of her fame the first year that I was in New York in a graduate writing program. And so yeah, she really loomed large in the public consciousness, and like for me as like kind of like the most mass market success story of like what me and some of my friends were modeling ourselves after. So mini biography on Jia. Her parents are Filipino, and she was born in Toronto and then grew up in Texas, and she went to UVA, University of Virginia. She famously got into Yale, but I think she couldn't afford it or something, and she went to UVA on a full ride. She was a Jefferson Scholar there. She studied English. After college, she did the Peace Corps, and I don't actually have any idea what her like project was. I feel like I should know this. But anyways, but I know that she didn't finish her term. She's like talked a lot about the guilt she kind of felt around coming home early. Anyways, and then she did an MFA at University of Michigan. Thereafter, she started writing essays for The Hairpin, which is this kind of like feminist magazine. And then she was at Jezebel, where she was an editor, and then she got tapped for The New Yorker. So she's 33, and she became a New Yorker staff writer in 2016. So she was like really young, and not that that's unheard of for The New Yorker, but she was definitely kind of the the millennial voice that they tapped. She was like the dispatch from the youth for the majority of her time there. So yeah, like I said, writing about pop culture, the internet. To talk about her like prose style is a little tricky because the New Yorker's house style is so kind of mixed down. Given that Jia has I do think that she has a distinctive voice. It helps that topically the kind of like world that she was illustrating was pretty narrow. It was broad in the sense that she allowed herself to tackle like a huge range of like mediums, right? So she would write about music, books, fashion, politics, memes, like she had such a huge pasture. But like the aesthetic world building that she did was like pretty intact, and right there was like a through line. I mean, she, like, I guess one way to say it is like she's just writing about her interests, and she was very like, she was properly reflective of a certain like Brooklyn milieu, and so therefore, despite the range in topics, it actually was very, very narrow when you look at it through kind of just like a cultural lens. Like, these are just all of the conversations that she and people like her were having at this time. So here, I'll just read a list of like things that of topics that Jia Tolentino wrote essays about for the New Yorker. Again, this is between like 2016 and 2019. Okay. Firefest, the Bill Cosby trial, the large adult son meme era, Eve Babbitt's, Jenny Zhang's Sour Heart, Julian Baker, the death of the personal essay boom, Perfume Genius, the kind of Me Too bleed out and like shitty media men list, the end of the all, like millennials and houseplants, Shen Yun, Outdoor Voices, the rise of vaping, and then she also has like the death of vaping, about my year of rest and relaxation, the Brett Kavanaugh hearing, the soundtrack to Hustlers, Reformation. Did I already say Shen Yun? Or like the campus rape crisis, when that was like a really big conversation. Then like Poison Me Daddy rhetoric, Ocean Vuong, the My Wife meme, Cats, when it became a movie. Oh, and then her Instagram face one, which I feel like came out like right before the pandemic. But I see that as kind of like an unresolved crest of hers, as her Instagram face, and then it was like pandemic, and then her vibe has kind of changed. But anyway, so I hope that kind of paints a culture. I think of this as kind of the big thiefification of culture at this time. You know what? Wait, actually, I gotta look this up. I think she wrote an essay on Big Thief. I'm sure she did. Yeah, of course she did. The Ordinary Brilliance of Big Thief. How could she not? Anyways, but yeah, so it's this very casual but politically activated time, right? So this is like pre-pandemic. This is kind of like later Trump years, and you know, she's not a hysteric, right? She's kind of like mediating hysteria, you know, and kind of like asking like smart and considered questions against the like extremes of the hysterical reporting, right? So, but I do think that the casualness is very integral to this world that she built, right? So this is distinctly before the like kind of, you know, so-called return to opulence that we're kind of having now. This was when we were like swinging hard into laid backness, effortlessness with the way that we were comporting ourselves. Like, I think it's just like, this is the time when like all girls are always wearing sneakers, as an example. So yeah, I just feel like from a article assignment point of view, Gia really got it right. Like, in many ways, she kind of correctly drew the boundaries of this world for the audience that she had at the New Yorker, right? So she's not getting like super in the weeds into all of these like small scenes, and I don't think she was like particularly interested in doing that. She's not like an edge seeking person, right? Like I said at the beginning, she's not like provocative by nature, but she's just kind of like, you know, she did like pretty well animate this world of like not basic Brooklyn. Like I think of the, you know, like I said, you know, woke but anti-hysterical, just kind of like weed smoking, vibey, concert going, big group energy, but also kind of bordering on the like sexless Fort Greene couple vibe too. So no kids yet, many people partnered up, and still, you know, still has this air of like messiness and youthfulness to them, but not in a decadent or aggressive way at all. Not sex forward, not edgy, just like relaxed and approachable, you know, and then also like a little bit twee, not twee in the like bespectacled analog media way, but in kind of in the like feigned like I'm shy way. And not Gia, I don't think Gia is she has no shy vibes, but like the type of girls that she came to kind of like represent, or at least like draw the boundaries of their kind of like cultural consumption. Like I think of the kind of like I don't want to be perceived, or the like, no, stop, don't kill yourself, you're so sexy, aha, that kind of tweet era. Anyways, and so Gia's writing is not like concerned with kind of like calling out or like making explicit these kind of like types, you know, like she's kind of like at a higher altitude than that, where she's just engaging with the kind of like artifacts of culture that populated this world. But I feel like, you know, even in her attempt to like critique the zeitgeist, she was reproducing it, which isn't necessarily even a knock against her, right? Like she like her persona actually did feel like a good representation and a good just like vessel for this time. Like, yeah, I do think that she represents it well. I don't know. I think in general, just like she's elucidating and reflecting at once this kind of like one step beyond mainstream ideas or affect, but not in a way that is like abrasive really to anyone. Nothing that she said was ever like shocking or big PR red flag. And yeah, I don't know. When I was thinking back on this, I feel like it's almost like her essays now kind of feel like pre-nostalgia, kind of. There are people for whom like COVID was just like, the timing of it was like kind of like an exit from their public life. So whether just to like their age or like particular concerns that they had or whatever, there was kind of like, you know, 2019 was like the last time where they were really like really participating in public life, I guess. So, you know, there's kind of like, yeah, COVID is the kind of like the excuse or the turning point for turning inward and just kind of, yeah, like retiring their youth and debauchery. So I feel like that is to a certain extent like true for Jia and her friends, for what I can observe. But and I think that her writing kind of like stands as kind of like a totem to those people. Anyway, so Gia's persona, first of all, I guess it's important to know about Jia that she is very like careful, I think, PR wise. Like she is interested in putting forth a persona of kind of like fun and like light messiness, but she is not trying to ruffle feathers or shock people. And I just do think that she is very careful.